Code injection. So what is code injection and why we do it? Code injection is simply a method of transferring your payload from one process to another, okay? So let's take this simple example. You have your malware running, either it's a dropper from phishing attack or a Trojan you managed to deliver to your victim, or it can be anything running your code, okay? And for some reason, you might want to run your payload in a different process. Now, what are those reasons? One might be you are running your payload in a process which has limited time of living. And a good example is our PuTTY Trojan. So let's say you successfully convinced your victim to run your backdoored PuTTY and you get your callback, but you know that you're operating from a PuTTY which will probably get closed when the user ends his SSH connection. So you like in this situation, you have to migrate to another process if you want to preserve your session. Okay. Another reason is changing your working context. And what do I mean by that? So let's say your payload got executed inside Word.exe process. And now you want to execute additional payload, like a second stage shellcode, for example, but it needs to be downloaded from your control server, which is on the internet. And from OPSEC perspective, it's not the best idea because Word.exe is not a usual program which talks to the internet, okay? So what you might do instead is to first migrate to some more legitimate process like a web browser, like Internet Explorer, and then download your payload from control server. Additionally, there might be even a local host firewall blocking outgoing connections from programs which should not talk to the internet, like Word, Microsoft Word, okay? So, and there is much higher chance that your web browser is allowed to initiate such traffic. A third reason is a so-called tune rule. 2 is 1, 1 is none. So this rule tells you that having a single C2 connection in an initial breach without any backup can lead to like a lot of frustration, okay? So imagine you have phished a guy and you got back your session from his machine, okay? Now it's your only connection to this environment, so you probably want to make sure that you will not lose that foothold too quickly. And one of those methods is to set up like quick persistence on that machine, okay? Or you just inject your control payload into another process. So you get 2 connections or 2 sessions from the same machine, and the second session is your backup in case your primary connection drops, okay? So that's why this rule is called 2 is 1, none is 1, and 2 is 1, 1 is none. So 2 sessions mean 1 control, and 1 session means no control. There are a lot of code injection methods available. For now, we will discuss only so-called classic ones, which are shellcode injection using debugging API. So with calls like create remote thread or write process memory. And the second is injecting a DLL from a disk, okay? So let's jump to payload injection.